Hi, welcome to the Unfinished Furniture Expo lab. Today we're going to cover a video on how to assemble your tabletop with one of our pedestal bases. So we're going to walk you through some general steps. Hopefully this will be of great help to you. So enjoy the video. Okay, so first one of the things we want to cover is some of the things you're going to need to do this project. Number one is you'll need one of our pedestals. In this case, this is a WWT-30P, one of our more popular pedestals. You'll need a mounting plate. We've used a 2 foot by 2 foot square of 1/2 inch plywood. You're going to need a drill and drill bits and some type of a screwdriver. You'll need some paper for templates. You'll need scissors, a tape measure, and potentially a hammer. Okay, so after you've assembled your pedestal, we're not covering this in this video, but it took roughly 5 minutes to do. You're going to take a piece of paper and you're going to make a template on the top of the pedestal. This is going to help you to know where the mounting holes are so that you can transfer this to your mounting plate. So I'm going to take a pencil and gently trace out the profile of the pedestal as well as the mounting hole locations, and then we'll transfer this to our mounting plate. So skipping ahead, this is the template that we made. This is the outer diameter of the pedestal with the 4 mounting holes. We're then going to transfer this to the center of our mounting plate. So our next step is going to be to transfer our dimensions from the mounting plate template to the mounting plate. So I apologize, I'm doing this left-handed, but that's the only way I know how to do it. So we're dealing with a 2 foot square mounting plate. So I'm going to make a mark at 1 foot on both sides of my board. I then am going to take a handy straight edge, in this case a scrap piece of wood from our shop. I'm going to scribe a line across that. That gets me halfway through the board. And then I'm going to do the same thing going the other direction. This will help us to find center on the mounting plate. There's probably other ways of doing this, but I found this to be the simplest for me. I then took the circular mounting plate template, folded it 2 different times, gave me some nice grid marks on it. I centered that on these marks here. And in my case, I used a screw. Went through the center of these holes to transfer my marks so that I know where to drill. Okay, for this step, you're going to drill the holes out that you marked with your template. I select a drill bit that's slightly larger than the hardware that I'm going to use, so I have a little bit of wiggle room, but I'm going to start with a smaller drill bit. I find mixed drilling easier. So we're going to drill these holes out. Okay, now that the mounting holes are drilled, we're going to then transfer the mounting plate to the top of the pedestal. This would be a good point if you're going to use construction adhesive, to put a little bit of construction adhesive on the top of the pedestal. That'll allow that it will be a permanent solution. So for this installation, we're going to use these socket head Allen screws. The good thing about them is they're a very small head, so they don't necessarily need to be countersunk. If you're using a different type of hardware, you may need to countersink the holes on the mounting plate so that it will sit flush, because your tabletop is going to rest straight on top of here and you don't want it rocking on top of your hardware. So I'm going to put these 4 screws in, we'll cinch it down, and we're ready to move on to the tabletop. Okay, so the next step, the pedestal is mounted to the mounting plate. So we're going to find center of our tabletop so that we can center the mounting plate in that, so that our table will be even and will stand accordingly. So I'm going to measure the width of the table. In this case, it's 4 feet. I'm marking my mark there. Doing the same at the top. And then I'm also going to find the width here. In this case, it's 30 inches, so half is 15. And I'm going to go ahead and trace out a line, and then we'll know where center is on this tabletop. Okay, so I've transferred the mounting plate and pedestal assembly to the underside of our table. I've already marked my grid on here, so I just need to line up my grid. That should center the table. If you have a round table, you're kind of on your own. You might have to go back to your high school math teacher to figure out how to find dead center on a circle. But on a rectangle or a square, it's pretty simple. So I've got this lined up here. The next step will be to attach it with some screws. I'm using 1-inch gold construction screws. I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill my mounting plate so that it doesn't splinter, and then I'll run the screws down into the tabletop and it should be solid. So for this, I'm only drilling through the mounting plate. I don't want to drill too deep into the tabletop because I want to have plenty of wood for the screws to bite into. You could drill a small pilot hole, but in this case the wood is soft and the screws will drive down into it just fine. If you're using a hardwood table, you may want to drill a small pilot hole, smaller than the threads on your screw, so that you can make sure that they drive in easily. You should have our pedestal, your mounting plate, and your tabletop affixed securely. This thing should provide you years and years of service.